Unveiling 3 bone-chilling true horror stories from summer nights that will haunt your dreams forever. The air was thick with dread, that kind of sticky heat that wraps around your skin like a suffocating blanket. In the moonlight, shadows twisted and shrank, revealing something far more sinister lurking in the darkness. Were those eyes watching from the trees? The stories of summer nights gone wrong have echoed through campfire tales, but what you're about to hear is bone-chillingly real. These are 3 horror tales that could haunt your dreams, or worse, your waking life. Let's start with the first story. A small town in Wisconsin, framed by endless cornfields and oppressive silence. People often heard whispers, just above the rustle of the leaves, secrets of a girl who vanished without a trace. They said she loved to dance, spinning under the stars, twirling until the night swallowed her whole. But one night, the laughter stopped. They found her shoes 1, 2, left in the grass, but no sign of her. Just cold, eerie silence that wrapped the town in a shroud of fear. And every summer since, when the moon is full, folks claim they hear her voice, entreating for help, beckoning from the shadows where she disappeared. Can you feel that tightening in your chest? As we move into our second tale, it's a gentle June evening by the lakeside in Maine. Kids splashed in the water, and laughter danced through the night. But there, at the edge of the darkened woods, something shifted. A figure cloaked in whispers of treacherous spirits. Locals warned about the cursed water. They believed it harbored the souls of those who drowned long ago. One brave group of teens, adventurous and thrill-seeking, dove into the depths. But only 3 emerged, their faces twisted with pure, unadulterated terror. What did they see down there? The older kids remained locked in a silence so profound it startled the adults. What kind of horrors lay beneath that calm surface? Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Finally, we reach the climax of our summer horror trilogy, a seemingly peaceful camping trip in a sprawling forest in Colorado. Campfires crackled, marshmallows toasted, and the stars glimmered like glitter on velvet. But on the third night, everything changed. It began with a sharp scream that sliced through the tranquility. A mishap with a bear, they thought. But the fear didn't vanish, it multiplied, clawing at everyone's sanity. As they searched, they stumbled upon remnants of something that once thrived: broken tents, torn clothes, and a bloodied flashlight. They found a single shoe, a girl's. The campers' faces blanched. Panic erupted, hearts raced, and doubt invaded their minds. Was that shadow just a trick of the firelight, or something much more sinister? What dark presence had invaded their sanctum of joy? And as the night bled into morning, they gathered, trembling whispers filling the air, terrified of what they might find. What had they awakened in the heart of those woods? The summer nights turned into a waking nightmare, leaving the question that will send shivers down your spine: when will the darkness come for them? The morning sun clawed its way through the trees, throwing harsh light on the campers' worried faces. They huddled together, anxiety crackling in the air. The chilling screams echoed in their minds, colliding with the unease that had settled deep in their stomachs. Frantic glances darted towards the woods, shadows creeping like ghosts along the forest floor. Every rustle sent jolts of panic through them, and all they could think about was the girl whose shoe lay among the wreckage. Maybe we should pack up and leave, someone whispered, but the suggestion hung in the air, heavy and grasping at their throats. No. We can't just leave her, Sarah, the boldest among them, argued, her voice a mix of bravery and fear. We need to find out what happened. Reluctantly, they all nodded. It was not just about the girl anymore, it was about confronting whatever horror lurked within the woods. With trembling hands, they gathered flashlights and made a plan, hearts pounding in sync as they ventured deeper into the forest. The further they walked, the thicker the air became. The light barely pierced through the leaves, casting eerie patterns on the ground. Whispers brushed their ears. Was it the wind or something else? Mind racing, Sarah surveyed their surroundings, searching for a spark of hope amidst the growing fear. As they navigated the twisted paths, their chatter turned into solemn murmurs. Along the way, they spotted remnants of their campsite, a flimsy tent now flattened and caked in dirt, half-eaten food strewn like crumbs from a desperate escape. But where was the girl? No trace other than that shoe remained. "Turn on your lights," a voice crackled from the back. "I think I saw something." Everyone clicked on their flashlights at once, beams slicing through the darkness. A flicker of movement caught their attention, a shadow darting behind a cluster of trees. They froze, breath caught, as dread coiled around them like a serpent. "Who's there?" Sarah called, her voice wavering. Silence wrapped tightly around them, broken only by the rustling leaves. Then they heard it, a soft giggle, light and airy, yet laced with something sinister. The sound rolled like an ominous wave through the forest, an echo of innocence twisted into something unrecognizable. "Let us go back," someone whispered, panic creeping back into their hearts, but Sarah couldn't move. She was rooted in place, desperate to uncover the truth, drawn in by that haunting laughter. "I have to see," she muttered, stepping forward before anyone could stop her. The others watched as she plunged into the thick of the trees, shadows swallowing her whole. "Sarah!" They shouted, hearts racing, but their cries vanished into the muted forest, concealed by the ever-thickening haze of dread. Minutes stretched like hours. Sarah had vanished, and the woods felt suffocating all at once. The whispers grew louder, and the forest seemed to hide its secrets even closer. "Should we go after her?" one of the campers asked, panic flashing in their eyes. "No!" another cried. "What if it's a trap?" But before they could argue further, a blood-curdling scream echoed through the trees, sharp and filled with terror. The sound shattered the fragile barrier of bravery they had built. It wasn't just Sarah's scream, it was laced with the cries of countless others. They stood frozen, a deep fear wrapping around their hearts. The forest felt alive, and whatever dwelled within it was watching. The question now hung like an impending storm: how far into darkness would they go to save one of their own? Or was there a deeper threat they had yet to comprehend? As fear clawed at their sanity, the shadows shifted, promising both revelation and terror. What waited in the darkness was beyond their imagination. What would they sacrifice to bring Sarah back? The silence hung thick, punctuated only by the fading echo of Sarah's scream. The campers exchanged panicked glances, eyes wide, breath quickening. They could feel the forest breathing, a wild heartbeat reverberating through the ground beneath their feet. "Should we stick together?" whispered Mark, his voice trembling slightly. "It might be safer," Jenna replied, clutching her flashlight as if it were a lifeline. The beams of light danced around them, revealing the twisted trees, their gnarled branches stretching unnaturally toward the sky, as if reaching for something lost in the shadows. They hesitated, uncertainty gnawing at their resolve. But the thought of Sarah, alone and vulnerable, pulled them deeper into the dark embrace of the woods. Each step was calculated, slow, as if the very ground demanded caution beneath their feet. "Look," Lisa pointed, her voice barely a whisper. She shone her light toward an old, rotting log that lay cracked and open like a mouth. Lurking within were tiny, unnatural carvings, symbols that sent a shiver down their spines. They were not just marks, they felt like warnings, reminders of darker things rooted in the earth. "I've seen those before," Jenna said, her voice barely holding. "In stories, bad ones." "Stories?" Mark scoffed, but the unease dripped from his words. Just then, the air was sliced by another laugh. This time it resonated clearer, more mocking, wrapping itself around them like a noose. "What are you looking for?" it taunted, echoing through the trees, chilling their bones. "Enough. We need to move." Sarah's best friend, Mia, finally broke down, fear driving her voice. "Let us go back." We can't stay here. They turned to head back, but the forest seemed to shift. Paths they remembered were gone, and a thick fog rolled in around them, curling and tightening like a predator. The whispers had begun to rise again, becoming an unsettling chorus in the distance, voices echoing, laughing and crying, intertwining. "Where's the way back?" Jen cried, pointing her light frantically. The trees now loomed, menacing and intertwined, branches snatching at the air like skeletal hands. "They're changing," Lisa murmured, eyes darting nervously. "Look! The trees, they're moving." Hot dread coiled in the pit of their stomachs. Shadows flitted just beyond their reach. Something was watching, lurking. The campers huddled closer together, fear gnawing at their resolve. Were they losing their minds, or was this hellish place alive, feeding on their terror? Then, with a sudden flick of a shadow, one of the flashlights flickered out. Panic surged. "Who turned it off?" shouted Mark, his voice echoing harshly in the stillness. "It wasn't me." Lisa gasped. "They're too close now." Heartbeats quickened. The oppressive darkness pressed in around them. An unseen force bound them, heat rising as palpable dread swept through their group. They could hear the atmosphere change, sharp and heavy, like a storm inside their chests. Then came another scream, not Sarah, but something deeper, entwined with primal fears. It splintered the night and told them all they needed to know: Sarah wasn't the only one lost in these woods. They were not alone. Desperation etched into their faces. They spun around, attempting to pierce the fog with their remaining lights. "We have to find her. She's still here," Mia cried, but the shadows grew thicker, swallowing her words. What had begun as a simple adventure had spiraled into something sinister. With the woods alive, the price of their curiosity weighed heavily in their hearts. Would they discover the truth, or would they become just another set of shadows haunting the trees? The deeper they wandered, the more they felt an anchor of despair pulling them down. And in their fight for survival, one question arose: would they save Sarah, or would the woods claim them all? In the heart of darkness, they continued to move forward, driven by fear and desperation, unaware of the true horror that lurked just beyond their sight. A heavy weight sat in their stomachs as they pushed forth, knowing one terrifying fact: the past of these woods had no end, and neither would they if they didn't find Sarah soon. What dark secrets were about to be unearthed? Who or what was waiting for them just ahead? The whispering escalated as they pressed on, the sound a jarring mix of laughter and anguish. It echoed in their ears, piercing through the thick fog like a sharp knife. Each step felt heavy, laden with dread. Shivers ran down their spines, and they clutched tighter to one another, as if their combined warmth would fend off the chill wrapping around them. Mark swung his flashlight wildly, its beam cutting through the mist, illuminating faces twisted by fear and eyes wide with horror. "We have to keep moving. We can't let them scare us," he shouted, though even he felt the cracks in his resolve. "It's not working." Jenna's voice quivered, desperation leaking through her words. "We don't even know where we are." Around them, trees creaked like old bones, swaying unnaturally in a phantom breeze. Shadows danced just out of sight, flickering in and out like the waning battery of their lights. Suddenly, Mia stumbled, her foot catching on something. She gasped, swinging her flashlight down. What lay before them was a dark pit, hidden beneath the undergrowth. Its edges were jagged, as if the earth had split open, inviting them to peer into its depths. "Don't go near it," Lisa yelped, her flashlight shaking in her grasp. "What if it pulls you in?" "It's just a hole," Mark replied, but his bravado wavered, and he took an involuntary step back. Each second felt thick with tension, the atmosphere taut enough to snap. Then, from down inside the pit, came an unmistakable sound, a whispering voice. "Help me." It was soft at first, then grew more desperate. "Please help, is that Sarah?" Mia leaned closer, her breath hitching in her throat. "No. No way. That voice, it can't be her," Jenna uttered, her eyes darting nervously. But the voice called again, its tone laced with genuine fear. It chilled them to their cores, ripping confessions of their own guilt from the sealed corners of their hearts. "Please, I'm so scared." Every instinct told them to run, yet an unyielding urge tugged at their souls. They felt it, a magnetic pull drawing them toward the pit. Each second felt like an eternity. Mark moved hesitantly towards the edge, daring to peer into the void. His flashlight flickered, revealing dark, unnatural shapes shifting in the shadows. "We have to check." "Don't!" Lisa cried, but the words were lost in the rising tide of panic. His resolve crumbling, Mark reached out a trembling hand. The pit's edges seemed to breathe, drawing him closer and closer, as if swallowing the very air around them. Suddenly, fear overcame him, and he jerked back. I can't do this." Then came a blinding flash of light. The forest erupted in chaos as they blinked against the brightness. For a split second, the woods transformed into a swirling ballet of memories and voices, echoes of laughter, cries for help, shadows of those who'd come before them. The mist twisted like tendrils of smoke, wrapping tight around them, and the air thickened with a darkness that felt tangible. Something was rising from the pit, something ancient and powerful. The campers turned to flee, but the forest now felt alive, the trees groaning, roots writhing as they obstructed their path. "All of those lost here, they're trapped." Jenna gasped, realizing the truth that had been hiding in the shadows. "It wants us too." Just as they thought they could escape, a massive limb shot down from the canopy, crashing to the forest floor, blocking their exit. The laughter ramped up again, more menacing, and through the cacophony, they heard the voice that had haunted their nightmares. "You cannot run, you belong to the woods now." With their hearts pounding in a shared rhythm of terror, they knew the woods had claimed others, and now they felt the weight of those souls pressing down upon them. What would they choose, to confront this dark presence or succumb to the despair that crept ever closer? As shadows enveloped them, the question loomed heavy: did they even stand a chance in a game where the rules were written by fear? A deafening silence hung in the air as Mark's heart raced. The trees swayed, almost mockingly, their branches like gnarled fingers reaching out. He could feel their judgment. What had they stumbled into? Nothing made sense. The whispers were turned up, echoing in his skull, growing louder, feeding off their fear. Panic surged through him. "Run!" he shouted, turning abruptly in search of the least cursed path, but all directions looked the same. Twisted trees and thick fog conspired to keep them lost. He could feel Jenna's hand clutching his arm, her breath warm against his neck, but her grip was weak, a mere echo of the strength they all needed right now. "Mia, Lisa, this way!" he cried out as he stumbled deeper into the forest maze, the flashlight beam cutting unevenly through the fog. He risked a glance back. They were still there, shadows swallowed by shadows, surging like a tide. "No! Back to the pit!" Lisa's voice pierced through the thick tension. "We have to go back. It can help." Mark's stomach twisted. "What are you talking about?" He felt a surge of anger, a mix of fear and disbelief. "Help us? Are you crazy?" But Lisa's eyes were wild, reflecting an unknown terror. "There's something down there. It knows it can tell us how to survive. Or it can kill us." Jenna yelled, her voice trembling. "We have to get out." An unseen pressure slammed into them. Shadows spiraled faster, drowning their voices in a whirlpool of madness. The pit suddenly loomed again, like a hungry mouth open wide, enticing and terrifying. Mark pulled on Jenna's arm, urging her to move. "We can't go back. We have to find a way out of this nightmare." "No!" Lisa screamed as she lunged forward towards the pit, but something unseen halted her in mid-air, like a spell woven from the darkness. The air crackled, thick with hatred and despair. "Help me please," the voice from below continued, now clawing at their sanity. It morphed into something deeper, echoing an agony that was more than a plea, it was a mournful keening of souls. You can help reluctantly, another impulse struck Mark, a sickening possibility that perhaps they were never meant to leave. The thought tasted like metal on his tongue, igniting a fire in his gut. Was there truth in the call from the pit? They would either become like the others or fight their way out. He shut his eyes tight against the darkness. "Mia!" he shouted, grasping at straws. "Think. If this is about Sarah, we have to remember what we did. Why we're here." A flicker darted across her face, clarity mixed with horror. "We shouldn't have gone to the lake, it was our fault." The air seemed to hush, the whispers trembling now, seemingly waiting with bated breath. Mark felt an insidious thrill, a chill creeping up his spine. What if they were tied to this twisted realm because of their own failures? "You have to face it." Mia's voice broke through his thoughts as she grabbed his hand. "Or we'll be lost forever." As if replying to her challenge, the forest erupted. A blinding light crashed down once again, illuminating the pit and painting the faces of the trees in sickly white hues. It revealed even more lurking shapes that writhed just below the edges. They were familiar faces of the lost, their eyes glimmering with haunting recognition. "Join us," they chanted, their chorus a chilling lullaby. The shadows pulled tighter, surrounding them like a cloak. Mark felt the weight of every choice they made. The guilt, the regrets. He turned to face his friends, their faces pale and strained, caught between the urge to flee and the dreadful curiosity of the whispers. Suddenly, a voice broke from the pit, almost like a shriek. "You must choose. Now." Mark's heart raced anew, knowing one thing: time was slipping away. What choice? He gasped. Would they stay and confront the horrors they tried to escape from? Or would they plunge headfirst into darkness in search of answers? The shadows bubbled and churned, a horrifying dance of fate waiting to be sealed. And just like that, the ground trembled beneath their feet, cracks snaking like hungry serpents toward them. How long before the woods claimed them as their own? The thought sent chills down their backs as the echoes of their past curled around them like smoke, and dread dulled their senses. What awaited them if they fell into the abyss? Would they find Sarah? Or would they lose themselves forever? Mark's heart thundered in his chest as the ground split wider beneath them, sending up plumes of dust that swirled in the pulsating light. He felt the tight grip of terror, the primal urge to flee, and yet, inexplicably, the pull toward the pit grew stronger. He could barely breathe. "Mark." Jenna's voice was strained, full of panic. "We have to decide." The shadows were closing in on them, their tendrils like icy fingers reaching for skin. Each echo of the pit felt like a heartbeat, sinister and unrelenting. He could see Lisa, her eyes wide with a mix of desperation and something else, hope. "Trust me," she shouted, trying to break the others' resolve. "We can make it. It knows. It can tell us how to be free." But Mark's mind screamed back, "Free? What if it's a trap? Please." Lisa's voice cracked, breaking through his thoughts. "I can feel it, I can feel Sarah. She's down there." At the mention of Sarah, something inside him twisted in gut-wrenching pain. Who was he to dismiss Lisa's plea? They were all in this together, tangled in the same web of guilt and confusion. Mia's face was pale, but her voice remained firm. "We can't let it take us. We need to remember, all of us." "Fine," Mark shouted back through gritted teeth. "Then let us remember what happened that day at the lake. We can't let her down again." The mist thickened, enveloping them, and suddenly, memories surged in, fast and furious. Laughter by the water, splashes, their youthful innocence. Then the screaming, the rush of chaos, the suffocating dread as Sarah slipped away, disappearing beneath the surface. Sarah. The name rang out, echoing wildly as if the forest itself was alive, reacting to their anguish. The ground shook violently, a warning. Cracks began to snake closer, as if the earth itself was tired of holding back the horrors that lived beneath. "Make your choice," the voice from below implored once more. It was no longer a shriek, but a haunting melody that dripped with pain and promise. Jenna's fingers tightened around Mark's wrist, but he couldn't focus on her. He was lost in the whirlwind of frenzied emotions. If they didn't act, they might be swallowed whole, much like Sarah had been. "Lisa!" Mark yelled, tugging her back from the verge. "This is a risk we can't afford. What if she's not down there? What if it's lying to us?" Lisa's face fell, the flicker of hope extinguished. "Then what do we do?" "Together," Mia shouted, squeezing both their hands. "We face it together. We can't let the past hold us." Mark's heart sank. He wanted to run. To escape the pit and the memories that clawed at him. But the words together carried weight and anchor amidst the chaos. If they chose to face it, they'd either find redemption or more despair. To his horror, shadows twisted from beneath them, now forming shapes what looked like arms reaching for each of their throats. The warmth of Jenna's touch faltered under the chilling grasp of darkness. "Hold on!" he yelled, steeling himself. "No matter what happens, we don't break apart." And then, as if the forest had been anticipating their decision, a wave of energy pulsed through the pit, surging upward as if it were attempting to spit them out. Mark shut his eyes tightly. The air thickened, electric pain dancing across his skin. Visions of Sarah, her laughter, her cries, her falling silence flooded his mind. Would they be able to save her, or would they fall like her lost to the abyss forever? The crack beneath them opened wide, and with a deafening roar, the shadows erupted, engulfing them whole as they slipped toward the precipice. "No!" he screamed, but the voices from the pit grew louder, drowning out all reason. They were ready to drag them to their fate. Who would survive? Who would slip away? Time hung heavy as darkness wrapped around them, and just before they vanished completely, Mark caught a glimpse of a figure standing at the edge of the pit. Could it be Sarah? Or was it something far worse waiting in the shadows? The choice was no longer theirs. The darkness swallowed them whole, encasing them in a shroud of despair. Mark's breath quickened as the sensation of falling consumed him. He felt weightless, suspended, a marionette without strings. Fear clawed at his throat. He had imagined this moment countless times, but nothing could prepare him for the icy grip of the abyss. Jenna's voice broke through the haze. "Mark! Hold on to me!" Her shout pulled him back to the present, back to the desperate fight for survival. They were plummeting into the abyss together, doubts mingling with adrenaline as he reached for her, fingers tight around her wrist. "Are we?" he started, but the ground had shifted beneath their feet, and they were no longer falling freely. It felt like being pulled into a water vortex, and the walls of darkness were alive, pulsating. Visions crackled around him like deteriorating memories, images of laughter and joy twisted into screams and chaos. "What do we do?" Lisa's voice quivered, cutting sharply through the nightmare. "What does it want from us?" "It wants to break us," Mia screamed. "Don't let it." "Focus." Mark racked his brain, memories tumbling like marbles in a jar, bouncing off each other. "We have to confront it. We can't run from what we've done. Not anymore." A collective shudder passed through the group as if the pit itself was reacting to their resolve. A heartbeat echoed from deep within, vibrating the very ground under them. It was the heart of the forest, or perhaps something darker. "Leave us alone," Jenna shouted, her voice raw with fear. The sound ricocheted, met with a cacophony of whispers threading through the darkness, chilling their veins. "It must have come for us," Lisa cried. "Because we ignored it, because we let her go." Mark felt a surge of anger bubbling beneath his terror. Sarah deserved to be avenged, not just remembered. "If we face this thing," he declared, fists clenched, "we do it together. We cannot let it tear us apart." The shadows twisted, creeping closer as if drawn to the power of their united voices. Mark felt it the moment of truth. Would this insane plunge reveal the secrets of the abyss, or deepen their torment? "See her, Mark," Lisa urged, eyes wide and glistening with the same raw intensity he felt. "If she's down there, we have to bring her back. We need to save her. She's holding on." And suddenly, there it was, a fleeting image flickered into existence before him, a ghostly silhouette covered in delicate glimmers, as if caught in an ethereal dance. Mark's breath hitched as he recognized the outlined Sarah. It was her. "Help me," the figure silently mouthed, desperately reaching out, the pleading in her eyes igniting a blaze of guilt and determination within him. "Sarah." Mark's voice was hoarse, breaking through a barrier much thicker than the darkness around them. "We're coming for you." But just as he felt the warmth of her spirit, the shadows converged, thickening like a predator sensing weakness. Mark reached out, heart racing, but the figure began to blur, fading with each breath. "No! Stay with us!" Mark cried, battling against the tide of despair sweeping through him. With one final determination, Jenna, Mia, and Lisa surged forward, forging through the darkness, arms intertwined. They felt it, the strength of their bond, refusing to let go. The air crackled with energy, shifting as the pit roared back in response. Suddenly, the figure twisted, the eyes that once sparkled with hope flickered with something darker, reflecting the shadows surrounding them. It morphed, revealing teeth too sharp and a smile too wide. "Do you dare trespass?" It hissed in echoing tones, the voice both familiar and foreign. Mark's heart raced with realization. This wasn't just about Sarah, it was about them, their guilt, their choices. Together. He shouted, bowing to the intense force about them. The moment crystallized, grounding him despite the tempest swirling through the void. They surged forward, ready to confront that which paralyzed them for so long. As they plunged deeper, the air shimmered, and Mark knew, answers awaited below, but so did unimaginable horrors. Would they reclaim Sarah's light, or would the shadows claim them all? One truth remained, they were not just reborn, they were racing against time, and the darkness was growing ever hungrier. What awaited them in the depths? Could they withstand whatever malevolence lay in wait? The choice was no longer theirs to make, the shadows had decided. The shadows thickened like a dark tide, swallowing their resolve as they pressed forward into the unknown. Every heartbeat sounded like thunder in the vast emptiness, echoing back to them with questions wrapped in uncertainty. The collective fear held them captive, yet the bond they shared glimmered like a beacon of hope cutting through the pitch. "Mark, stay close!" Jenna shouted, her voice steady despite the tremors lacing her words. They felt each other's presence, it was a lifeline in the storm, the only thing grounding them in this terrifying swirl. "Right here," he replied, gritting his teeth as the air grew colder, each breath feeling like ice on his lungs. Shadows coiled around them like serpents, slithering just out of sight, whispering secrets they didn't want to know. A cacophony of incoherent voices spilled from the depths, each word like a sharp knife grazing their skin. Mark felt a pull, a deep yearning to know, yet dread cloaked any curiosity. What if they were right? What if this place was a physical manifestation of their guilt, a dark mirror reflecting everything they had tried to bury? "It's just noise," Mia hissed, her fists clenched. "Keep moving. We can't let it stop us." Suddenly, a flash of light broke through the darkness, illuminating a twisted path ahead. It beckoned them, pulsing with a rhythm that mimicked the thrumming of their hearts. With no choice left, they advanced. The air shimmered and thickened, and as they took each cautious step, the world around them shifted. Images appeared alive with color and vibrancy. It was hauntingly beautiful, yet terrifying all the same. They saw scenes from their past, Sarah laughing during a summer picnic, the four of them huddled together under a starry sky, hearts full of youth, dreams untarnished. But then, effortlessly, those scenes twisted, dark clouds overshadowed the joy, and Sarah's laughter faded into desperate gasps for help. Shadows spiraled around her, dragging her back into the gloom. "No!" Mark shouted, staggering backward. "Stop! We're not doing this." Jenna grabbed his arm, her grip tight. "Mark, look. We can't let it feed on our fear. We have to remember the light, the good times. We need to focus." "Focus?" Lisa snapped, her voice rising above the chaos. "How can we focus when all that's left is this nightmare?" At that moment, the ground beneath them shook violently, sending tremors through their bodies. An inky shadow swept forward like a tidal wave, rough and unforgiving. "You think you can defy me?" It roared, the ground vibrating as if the very essence of the abyss was threatening to consume them whole. "You've tasted sorrow. You wear your guilt like a shroud." Mark felt his rage boil, the heat coursing through him ignited memories, the good and the bad. "We don't fear you," he bellowed, channeling everything into that one declaration. "We are more than our pain." The shroud of darkness recoiled, momentarily stunned by the force of his resolve. The others rallied, joining him as their voices blended, unified against the darkness. Together, they shouted in unison, standing shoulder to shoulder against the impending storm. The shadow roared, a sound that echoed through the very fabric of their being. It was both a challenge and a warning. "Very well," it hissed, the tone dripping with malice. "Let us see just how strong your bond truly is." In that heartbeat, the darkness surged forward, and reality bent like a wilting flower. Mark felt a tidal wave of despair crashing down around them, siphoning their strength, testing the very limits of their unity. "Hold on!" Jenna screamed as they braced for the impact, a whirlwind of shadows and sorrow ready to consume them whole, and in that blinding moment, Mark thought of Sarah, and he dared to hope. Maybe, just maybe, redemption lay in the depths of their confrontation, but would they emerge whole, or would they fall deeper, ensnared in both their guilt and the entity's insatiable hunger? The darkness howled in rage, and as the chaos descended, one question lingered: what price would they pay to reclaim their light, and would it be worth the cost? The shadows crashed against them like a torrent, swallowing their cries and fears. The very fabric of their reality twisted, blurring the line between memory and nightmare. Mark felt Jenna's grip slip as the darkness surged forward, separating them in a cruel twist of fate. His heart raced, a wild stallion galloping with panic. "Jenna!" he yelled, but the darkness muffled his voice, coiling around him like a vice. The shadows thickened, the cacophony intensifying, until it felt like 1,000 voices were screaming just beneath the surface. "Don't look back!" Mia shouted, pushing through the chaos. She was the one who they needed to follow. Logic sparked like a match in his mind. They had to move, had to escape this nightmare. But the pull of regret held him. How could he leave without knowing if Jenna was safe? He turned back, but a wall of black threatened to envelop him. Fear clawed at his insides, but determination rose to meet it like a roaring fire. "No!" Mark shouted as he lunged into the darkness, feeling it ripple around him, a living entity that clung to his skin and wrapped tendrils around his soul. "Focus!" Mia's voice sliced through the gloom, a reminder that they weren't alone, that they had fought hard to be here, together. With each step he took, Mark recalled the vibrant moments they had shared, Sarah's smile igniting a flame in his chest. He had to believe it could be enough to push back this entity. The shadows twisted, forming grotesque shapes, each representing their deepest fears, their guilt and pain. Faces emerged from the void, familiar yet warped, eyes wide with accusation. Mark gritted his teeth. "You are not real," he shouted, feeling the strength of his own words challenge the suffocating dread, but suddenly, the ground lurched again, and he stumbled. The specters laughed, mocking him with hollow, taunting voices. "Think you can escape? Your bond is weak. You're all fractured, like shards of glass, ready to shatter at the slightest touch." His resolve steadied, bolstered by the memories of laughter echoed in his mind. "We are not weak," he asserted, searching for Mia and Lisa in the gloom. Together, we are stronger. Friends, laughter, the moments we cherish, they are our weapons. The shadows writhed, and in that instant, a flicker of light pierced through the darkness. He could make out Jenna, her silhouette glowing faintly as if she were the sun breaking through a storm. Hope surged through him, a powerful force to fight against despair. "Mark!" she cried, reaching for him. "Come on." He felt the warmth of their bond wrapping around him, pulling, urging him forward. With renewed strength, he pushed deeper into the depths, anchoring himself in the light of their friendship. Each step felt labored but grounded, each breath sensing the pull of freedom. As their hands clasped, the shadows around them shrieked in fury, ripping apart as they joined together, a wall of light protecting them from the encroaching darkness. But the malevolence was relentless, claws scratching, flailing. The deeper they went, the more the darkness lashed back. "We can't let it tear us apart," Jenna yelled, her face set with fierce determination. But just as they began to believe they could conquer the void, a chilling voice pierced their unity. "Even the strongest bonds can be severed, for the truth is, one must always pay a price." Mark's heart dropped. What did that mean? What truth lurked in the shadowed corners of their minds, ready to emerge and shatter them into pieces? As they prepared to confront the final storm of darkness, Mark felt a sense of impending dread. What truth awaited them on the other side, and would it destroy everything they fought to protect? The time to uncover it was at hand, and their greatest test loomed ahead. As the shadows twisted and billowed around them, Mark felt a rush of panic mixed with burning resolve. The malevolence surged, clawing at the edges of their unity, but he gripped Jenna's hand tighter. Together, he whispered fiercely, channeling every ounce of defiance he had. Light flickered in the void, revealing glimpses of Sarah, a fleeting silhouette caught in a haunting dance of hope and despair. "Mark!" Her voice echoed, trembling yet tender. For a brief moment, he saw her smile, vibrant and full of life, a stark contrast to the dark world they were trying to navigate. "Keep moving," Mia urged, her words a lifebuoy in the relentless storm. The group pressed on, every step resonating with a shared memory of laughter, echoes of their past intertwined with the present struggle against the darkness. The pull of guilt and fear was palpable, yet their bond radiated warmth, pushing back against the icy tendrils engulfing them. "Face it!" shouted Jenna, her eyes aflame with determination. "Admit what we did. We were careless, we thought we could conquer everything without consequence." Those words resonated, awakening something deep within Mark, a realization they had buried beneath layers of denial. As they advanced, the voices from the pit began to clarify, their whispers mixing with memories and regrets. "You didn't help her. You turned away." No longer just mocking, the shadows began to twist the truth in their own words, each taunt an arrow piercing through their hearts, reminding them of Sarah's absence, the unbearable guilt that had haunted them since that fateful day. Mia clenched her fists, her face pale yet determined. "No. We didn't know. We didn't realize," she faltered, the truth hitting her like a brick. "We were selfish." Mark's heart tightened. The hard truths they had evaded were now the very essence of their confrontation. They were not just fighting the forest's darkness, they were battling their own shadows, trapped memories that had trapped them like prisoners in their minds. "Then let us put an end to it," he shouted, his voice echoing defiantly against the swirling chaos. "We can't let the past dictate our future. We owe it to Sarah to confront the truth, to face the darkness together." As if anchored by their collective will, the shadows momentarily recoiled, revealing a flicker of light illuminating their path. It beckoned towards the edge of the pit, a swirling vortex of memories and dreams. But as they drew closer, they felt the relentless weight of the darkness converge once more, coiling around them with malicious intent. "Accept your fate." The voice erupted, fierce and cacophonous. "One must pay a price." "Not on my watch," Mark roared, summoning every ounce of strength. Resolute, he looked into the depths where Sarah once danced and found a fierce determination igniting within him. "We're not going to be sacrificed. We're coming for you, Sarah. Just hold on." With newfound zeal, the group forged ahead, feeding off the flicker of hope and light propelling them forward. "Dive in!" Jenna shouted, her eyes blazing with purpose. "Trust each other. We need our bond to prevail." In a heartbeat, they dove into the vortex, hands intertwined, surrendering to the pull of their greatest fears and regrets. The world twisted around them, a whirlwind of laughter, tears, the taste of salty air, and the haunting memory of that summer day at the lake. Yet amidst the chaos, Mark felt clarity. This was their truth, and they were ready to unearth it. The ground beneath teetered, feral shadows danced at the edge of his vision, souls whispering their grief, their pain. But he pushed forward, anchored by the strength of friendship. "We can't back down. We are powerful." The vortex erupted, pushing them forward, spinning as they felt the depth of their shared pain morphing into something powerful, and explosive energy surging through their souls. And then, the cacophony fell silent. That it was bright. The world around them flickered and shimmered, blinding. Mark opened his eyes. They stood at a clearing by the lake, the sun rising. It was serene, beautiful. Nothing like the darkness they had just faced. Suddenly, laughter echoed, a melody carried by the gentle breeze. Mark turned. It was Sarah. Her smile radiated joy, free and glowing with warmth. She took a step toward them, her laughter transcending the shadows that had haunted them all these years. "You came for me," she said, her voice like song. "You faced it together. I'm so proud of you." Tears streamed down Mark's face, and the weight that had held him captive lifted. "We're sorry, Sarah. We should have saved you." "But you did," she replied softly. "You faced your darkness. You freed me." In that moment, everything shifted. The shadows evaporated like mist, conquered by the light of forgiveness and the bond of friendship that had blossomed anew. They were free, and Mark took a deep breath, letting the warmth of the sun wash over them. They stood together, their hearts intertwined, knowing they had broken the cycle of darkness forever. The summer nights would no longer haunt them. And as they embraced Sarah, Mark felt a sense of closure. They had returned to laughter, but this time with the knowledge of valuing the bonds they forged. The shadows were behind them, but the light had finally taken hold. "Now, we live," Sarah said, her voice imbued with a love that would never fade, and in that moment, they left the past behind, ready to embrace the future. You need to subscribe now to catch more spine-tingling, exclusive stories like this. Smash that like button now to help us feed the algorithm and bring more thrill-seeking friends into our community. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about this chilling finale. What did you think of Sarah's fate and their struggles? And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how this story came full circle. Together, we can create a space filled with fear, fun, and fellowship.